So now we're ready to break into the really big time. We're going to go global. We now know how an office in New York can communicate with an office in LA. But guess what? The internet uses that exact same technology and the exact same concepts. The internet is really just a bunch of LANs, or local area networks, that become wide area networks and network with a lot of other computers around the world. That's all we're talking about, so the concept is the same. I've taken out all of the extra pieces here just to try to keep the drawing simple. But let's go from left to right. Let's say that the computer on the upper left of the screen is actually me sitting in my office. And I want to send an email or request a web page. Let's say send an email. So I compose the email and I click send. My computer, which is a standalone computer, which is part of the PC Keys domain, connects to the PC Keys server, which is the server on the lower left. That server says, okay, I understand who Erin is. She has rights to send email, she has internet privileges, and she's trying to send an email to somebody outside of this company. So I need to forward her message along. It then leaves my server and goes out to our ISP, or Internet Service Provider. For us, that happens to be Cable One, our cable company. It could be your phone company, a lot of other things. We don't actually have direct internet access. That's something that not an individual or an individual company generally has. It has to be procured through an ISP, or an Internet Service Provider. So our server sends the message along to the Cable One server. The Cable One server says, well, okay, I recognize that this is an acceptable message, but whoever Erin is addressing this to, I don't have any idea who that is. So I'm simply going to send this out to the rest of the world. It then begins sending the information around to various other servers. And it's kind of like walking around a room and saying, excuse me, do you know who this person is? No? Okay, let me go to the next one. This is called pinging. And an email message, or any kind of actual internet request, can ping around the world several times before it finally runs into a server that goes, oh yeah, I know who that is. Maybe I'm trying to send it to Susan. I recognize Susan. This is where we get to the server on the other side of our little illustration here. Let's say this server is in California. It's an ISP server, and it says, well, I recognize the end of that email address. I recognize the domain of totaltraining.com, and I know how to find its primary server. The ISP server sends the email to the Total Training server. At this point, the Total Training server gets it, looks through its own list of accounts, identifies that Susan at totaltraining.com is a known account, and it delivers the email to her desktop. Now that message just traveled somewhere between 3,000 and 7,000 miles. It might have gone through at least 4 servers that we know of, but it could be 10 or 20 or 50. The miraculous part of this is just a wide area network, servers talking to other servers and ultimately delivering information to client computers. And what really fascinates me is all of this happens seriously in a matter of seconds. Even though I may be in Idaho and Susan may be in California or New York or halfway around the world, I can send a message and have it received in a matter of seconds, or at least in just a few minutes. Isn't that amazing? This is something that didn't even exist in our world 40 and 50 years ago. Yet now we take it for granted every day that we can just type, click a button, and all the magic happens. Now you have a good insight into why networks are important in our lives. And more importantly, a little bit of insight into how they actually work.